Yeah, I would say work on communication. That's goodness gracious, that's the key to any relationship. That's the key to minding your relationship, minding Fred's relationship, anybody really that I come in contact with. If you are not a communicator, try, because at the end of the day, um, the relationship is part of what you look back on, right? You're gonna want more good days than bad, right? And I can say that there I had more good days than bad. Now, when it was bad, it was bad, but we had more good we had more good days than bad. I wouldn't trade being single over being married any day, never. So work on that. Work on communication and just letting stuff go. I mean, forgiving, because forgiveness is for us. It's not for the other person. Just let it go. I don't think there's anything that you can't get through, you know, without communication. Don't In a marriage, let me tell you something. In a marriage, and if you're single looking for someone, you got to have some vulnerability with the other person. So you can't have no ego, you can't have no jealousy, you can't have y'all know those are demons, right? You can't have them demons in your life because that's what they are. Envy, all that type of stuff with your person. You just can't do it. If you have a best friend and you got that, she's not going to want to be your best friend, or he's not going to want to be your best friend, or you hiding stuff, lying. No, nobody want to be around that. Just talk about it. Be honest about it. I shoot from the hip a lot. Um, I could be blatantly honest. I'm working on learning how to hold back. I'm working on that. But if you ask me, I'm usually gonna tell you. So talk about it. There should not be a conversation that you can't have. The hard ones, the good ones, the uncomfortable conversations, because you got to let the other person get some type of understanding. Let me tell you something. If you let that other person assume, that means whatever they think in their mind is what's happening. And 9 times out of 10, an assumption isn't the truth. I don't want you to assume about me. I want to tell you what's going on with me. I would just say learn how to communicate and learn how to forgive.
Miss Denise.
Okay. So for me, love and total commitment, as God wants us to love Him and be totally committed to Him. In a marriage, your marriage is not going to work if you are not totally committed to going through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to love and work through your issues, even when they're bad, even when you don't want to. You have to love your spouse, even when they are not doing loving and kind things to you. You still have to love them. And in all things, you have to take it to the Lord in prayer. Nikki, I shared with you that during my 38 years of marriage, the earlier years when things weren't, where you're still learning each other and you're trying to find that balance. We would have some horrible arguments, say ugly things to each other, do ugly things to one another. And what I found was that whenever I felt I wasn't being treated, not felt, I wasn't being treated right. There were times where I wasn't treated the way I should have been treated. And there were times when I didn't treat my husband the way I should have treated him. But what I learned was during those times when we would have those ugly, ugly knockout arguments. Um, if I would be combative and go back at my husband, and all you're doing is going back and forth, it would just blow up into something so ugly and so just ugly. What I learned over the years was that when my husband would come to me in a way that I saw as insulting, instead of me going back on him, I learned to just step away, go into my closet, wherever that may be, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, and just talk to the Lord and say, God, I can't do anything about this man's attitude. If anything, I want to hurt him right now, or I would just go in my closet and talk to God. And I would talk to him just like I'm talking to you now. And when I finish my prayer and talk with God and come out, every time it never failed. My husband would come to me. It may not be right at that moment. It might be the next day. We slept all night and didn't speak to each one another. But he would come to me and say, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to. But when I didn't go to the Lord, and we're human, somebody can say something to you and catch you off guard, and you go back at them, and you're going back and forth. But every time I took it to the Lord and chose not to respond right then, to step away from it and take it to the Lord, oh my gosh, God just worked that thing out. He just moved and touched my husband in such a way that it would almost just shock me. And so I just learned to start taking things to the Lord in prayer. Just step away from it, and he'll work it out. He'll do it every time.